Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. We're going to get started in just a moment, waiting for my guest speaker to join me. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here today. I'm just going to wait just a moment and we will get going. All right, all right, all right. Welcome, welcome everyone. We're going to get started in just a moment. And I see Christina is here. Awesome. We'll get you up here in just a second, Christina. Let me grab this, get you up here. So excited to have with me today. First of all, hello everybody. Elise Arsenault here, founder of The Global Actor, working actor, audiobook narrator, and founder of The Global Actor, where I help actors live where they want and work when they want. And one of the ways I love to do that is through teaching actors how to become audiobook narrators. But most actors that I work with are still pursuing work in film and TV as well. So I'm so excited to be bringing on Christina Latour today, who is a specialist in everything actor reels. So let's bring Christina right on up and we will take your questions today. And I'm going to get started with some of my own questions as well. Christina, and let me just give a big shout out to everyone who's joining us. Hey, Kim and Joe and Lara and Jenny, great to see you here. And Jenny, awesome, awesome. Hi, Christina.
Hi there. I don't see myself. Can you see me,
I
Elise?
don't see you yet. It looks like a black screen on your end.
Oh, you know what? Hold on. Let me try something.
Yeah, no worries. Take your time.
There we
Oh, there
are.
you are. Yay. Welcome.
How are
It's so
you?
good to see you.
So good to see you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm so glad I feel like this conversation has been probably a year in the making. I know we've been trying to get together for a
Yes.
conversation
Yeah.
like this and like for so long. So first of all, thank you so much for your patience.
Oh, sure. I feel like I know you already, Elise, so
I
we're good.
know. Yeah, everyone, this is our first time meeting today, which is my favorite. Yeah, I do too. So yeah, let's dive in. I guess I would love to know, first off, how are you? How did you make it through the pandemic and how did Reels shift, if at all, in the past year and a half?
Yeah. Through the pandemic, I, I think people were shifting their mindset and their outlook on what they could control during such crazy times. And one of those things was, updating their materials, their
Hmm.
resumes, reels, um, and so they were able to use that time and also take a little bit more time to see where they were at in their careers and where they wanted to go. So
Hmm.
in a way, I don't want to say it was a blessing, but there were blessings throughout it,
Yeah.
and that we were able to take a step back, reassess, reevaluate, and see how we want to move forward and what that looks like,
Hmm. Yeah, great, great.
myself included.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And what do you think? Like, I want to dive into the meat of it. And I also want to just welcome everyone who's here. We've got more than 30 folks joining us live, so feel free to share your questions, and we will ask them throughout. I believe there's a Q&A box. If there's not, you can just ask the questions in the chat. I would just love to know, Christina, what do you think makes an actor reel stand out?
Well, I mean that's a great question because we all get to know that, and so we're able to work with that for ourselves. A big part of it is knowing.
I think you did. Yeah. Can you start that right over again? Yeah.
Sure.
I can hear you.
A big part of it is who you are as an actor, what stories you tell, how you show up in the industry, and how you can show that in your reel in 1.5 minutes or less.
Yeah. Oh,
Or
great.
2
So
minutes.
can we talk about that 1.5 minutes or less? Is that the
Yeah,
current industry standard? Because I know timings change all the time.
timing change because there's so much out there and
Yeah.
there's so many people out there. And now that there's an opportunity for CDs and directors and producers to take a look at many more people than they ever could before,
Hmm.
uh, short and sweet and succinct and to the point.
Great.
And I say 1.5 to 2 minutes. I'm not there with the stopwatch, but
Hmm.
I do know that if you haven't caught them and grabbed them in the beginning, that you don't want them to scroll. The last thing you want them to do is to skip ahead or to scroll. And if they
Hmm.
see, oh my God, this is 5 minutes, they're just, they're too busy. No matter how
Hmm.
great, just and there's places for that, and I can talk about that later. But the sweet
Yeah.
spot as of now is kind of in the 1.5 to 2 minute range.
That's great. That's actually really similar. I produce audiobook demos for actors as
Mhm.
well. And in my directing that, I typically like, yeah, shorter is sweeter. And the trend is getting shorter and shorter.
It
Of
really
course,
is.
different offices might say different things,
Sure.
but yeah, that overall standard sounds great.
Sure. And it is getting shorter. And, there used to be a time where you could have a cool opening and a montage and whatnot. And unfortunately, this is not that time. However, there are there are places you could put that. You could do that for
Hmm.
yourself, website. But if it's something that you're going after for a specific role, or you're trying to get to a CD or an agent, definitely shorter and sweet and succinct.
Great. That's a great point. Now we're going to get into a little bit of different formats with a reel and clips and things like that. And you were mentioning something longer. I've seen, how do you feel about doing like full dramatic reels and full comedic reels? How do you feel about that?
It depends on how much material you have. If you have
Right.
enough for both, I would highly recommend doing a dramatic reel and a comedic reel.
Hmm.
Someone who's maybe just starting out or coming from a theater background, maybe doesn't have a lot and wants to put something together to show, then it's perfectly fine to meld the two together.
Hmm.
Our reels are fluid. They're always going to be changing, right?
Hmm.
So in the future, you can expand on that. Let's say that reel got you more dramatic shows or more comedic shows, you can definitely expand on it, and then it comes time to separate. But if you're just starting out, then it's fine to have both together.
Oh, great. And we just got a question from Peasy. If you are new, can you have a reel with one video even, or a compilation of various scenes, even if you don't have one yet with different genres?
If I'm understanding correctly, so if there's one role, a long scene, you can chop it up and put it together into a short reel.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hmm.
Right? So
Yeah,
there's
yeah, that's the first question. And then the second question is a compilation of various. Oh, yeah, actually, yeah, you answer that, even if you don't yet have the genres. What you're saying is as you get more and more material, then
ab-
obviously you're going to have more to work with.
absolutely. It's not going to stay the same. You get to, we get to work with what we have in the moment.
Hmm.
And hopefully that will bring you in more shows and whatnot. And then we'll get to expand on that. And then you'll find things, oh, you know what, that's not really the characters I play anymore. Let me put that aside and add in this new one. It's
Okay, great point.
constantly, it's like the resume. It's like your headshots,
Hmm.
they're
Yeah,
constantly changing. So it's never set in stone, but we get to work with what we have in the moment.
great. Okay, cool. Great answer. And I just want to say hey to Daria and Diana. Thanks for joining us. Daria said, are you looking at a reel if we've got one for you? I don't think we can do that during the Instagram live right now.
That's a
But
good idea to do another thing, at least, down the line. Because I also,
yeah,
one of the things I offer is a real assessment, which can be found on my website, which we can talk about later. But it
yeah.
is a
Actually,
service
you
I
feel
offer.
free to share that right now, Christina.
Yeah, yeah. So I do offer a real assessment, and that would be going through the footage that you have and then scheduling a Zoom to discuss it, and then also give you a written a write-up of what I see and what we discussed, and then suggestions for moving forward with your reel.
Okay, awesome. And we're gonna link. I'm gonna
Yeah.
share your links, Christina. If people go to the link in your bio, can they grab your
Yes, I
free
believe it's
thing?
there. There's a link to my free ebook, and
Great.
there's also a link to my website in the bio as well.
Okay, great. So I'll be sharing after today's interview is over. I'll be sharing this, so it'll remain in my feed, and I will be sure to just note that link in bio at your handle. Awesome.
Awesome. Thank
Cool.
you.
Yeah, of
Thanks.
course. Okay, so we talked about what thoughts on what makes a reel stand out, how long it should be. How does one know which clips to use and in what order?
Right. Well, the best rule of thumb is to start by front loading your reel with your your strongest clips first, your most recent work, and also the characters that you play,
Okay.
that you would get cast in, to front load that first. And then as you build your reel down the line, you can mix up with a little variety, any focus on your range and more variety later. But I would say start out with the bang, start out with your most recent best clips first, because that's what's going to grab their attention. And also start it focusing on you, because sometimes people, if you're in a scene with another person of the same gender, you're not sure who they're looking at. So you want to make it extremely clear that, it starts with you first and you are who they're looking at.
That's a great point. That made me think of, I remember hearing differing thoughts on whether to include scenes with you and a celebrity if you're not really featured. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I would love to show a scene with, Meryl or Denzel or something. But if it's only showing the back of my head, that's not going to be good. It's just not.
Yeah.
And you want to show that you're a professional actor, and showing something that's not going to showcase you may be showing you as a question. Oh, are they really, did they really know what they're doing? You want to show them that you know what you're doing. So I would say you have to really be discerning if that scene is really going to showcase you and your talents.
Great. Dom has a question. What are your thoughts on having a self-tape type reel to begin with? So like if you don't have footage yet, putting together a reel of some self-tapes, or at that point, is it better to have no reel until you have some scenes?
Well, here's the thing. We just came out of a year and a half of everything being self-taping, and I'm sure people have stuff that they're itching to use, and I think there is a place for that. I don't know that it would be right away in a reel that's up against, professionally shot footage, because it's going to stand out. But if you have a really good self-tape audition, and see, the other thing is, though, if it's an audition and if it's for a show that hasn't been out yet, you can't really
share that. Right. Would you recommend maybe putting that as a clip, like once you can share it, maybe once it is released, or say you've been working on a really juicy scene from a show from a couple of years ago? Would you recommend that be its own clip versus putting that in the reel?
I would, but again, it depends where we are. Do we have a reel? How much of a reel do we have? If it needs that extra character that maybe isn't represented on your reel, that could be used. But you just want to watch, because being self-tape, I mean, even though now, like, you can purchase lights and backgrounds and such from Amazon, and it looks great, but it's still going to stand out against something that's professionally shot. So I would say use it, but be discerning about using it.
Okay.
Maybe it gets to be sent on its own to a CD who's casting a project, and like, hey, this is what I have.
Got it. So maybe it doesn't live on the website, but maybe it's a once in a while use it if you feel like it's perfect for a role. Great. Okay, we got another question. Kim asks, if you don't have recent work, actually she asked a very similar question. If you don't have recent work, could you have a reel of self-tapes or a mixed self-tape footage in?
Right. Yeah, I think
that's similar. Yeah.
That's similar to what we discussed. But also, I want to speak about that is, there's companies that produce footage for you, and I think that could work. Again, if you don't have a certain role that's represented, write something that's specific towards that character that you play. That could be helpful for that. I would not recommend recreating a scene that's already been done, because you're always going to be compared to that role.
Great.
And then, things are much easier, I wouldn't say easier, more accessible now to shoot and edit your own stuff. You get a DP, you get somebody who knows sound, which is very important. Sound can make or break it, right?
Yeah.
You do like a short scene, get it edited, and that's one thing you can use in your reel.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much more accessible now. And, we get to create the narrative. We get to decide what goes out there and what people see, and we can do that for ourselves now. And it's very empowering.
Yeah, that's a really great point. And we have the ability to invest in making sure, even if you haven't had the opportunity to have some juicy guest star roles yet, to create something like it. But what it sounds like, let me know how you feel about this. I feel like if you are going up for a role against people who already do have a full reel, you're just not going to compete if they're seeing it side by side. Or tell me what do you think about that?
Well, if we're doing shooting our own films, it can be very professional now.
Right.
That's I would say to do that as opposed to just, sitting here and doing something, which you can, but I'm saying create your own work.
Right. And I agree with that. I guess I'm saying versus a self-tape montage.
Oh, yeah. 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 I was sorry. I was not, I was.
No, that's okay. Lots of thoughts, and it's great conversation, folks. Keep asking questions, because I think it continues to change. I've even and also different casting directors might have different opinions on this as well. So don't take anything as like this is the law.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, CDs they do have their way that they like to have things done, but I think the overall universalness of it is empowering yourself, that if you don't have something, do it. And it can be done now. It really can. And I've seen it, and there's some really great quality stuff that people have done on their own. And even, maybe a short film that gets submitted into festivals. I saw festivals pop up during the pandemic that people were shooting on Zoom that went to festivals, So there's so many opportunities now.
That's great. Ginny asks, do you have any tips for getting your clips from TV shows or films? Asking production, screen recording, anything like that?
Yeah. There's two places that I know of personally. One is through Actors Access, and now I'm blanking, but it's through Actors Access.
It's one of their services? Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Services. And also, there's a gal that I work with, Brenna, with Actor Edits. That's very good at doing that. So that's two places. Screen recordings, I can't really talk about that too much because it's sort of like
yeah, probably not legal.
Those things that if you can do it, then if it's accessible to you and you know how to do it, then I would say you could, try that way. But those are two legit ways that I recommend. And I think clips, they do charge, but I think it's, something like $25 for a scene or something like that. Maybe it gets less, you get more scenes.
Cool. That's cool. And then Ginny had another question about how long should each clip be? And maybe that's a couple different questions, because I feel like it could be how long should the clip be within a reel, but also separate clips. What are we looking for?
Yeah, separate clips, I think 30 seconds is a good amount of time.
Great.
Also, uploading to Actors Access, they charge by, the minute, I think. So depending on how much you want to pay. But even though I think 30 seconds of showing you as a particular character that you play is a good time to aim for.
Great.
And then clips within the reel, again, that could be, it depends what you have. It could be 15 seconds, it could be 30, it could be your best 10 seconds of the whole movie. It just depends on what we have.
What is the short, and it's okay if you don't know this off the top of your head, but can you think of what is the shortest clip you've ever included? Is there ever just an amazing look or something?
Yeah. I like to put a button on the end of the reel.
Yeah.
And I've done that before, just ending. It could be just a line. It could be a line from either a project that we already looked at in the reel, and this was just a funny button, or it could be a line from a project we didn't use because there wasn't enough footage that we felt was appropriate for the reel, and then maybe put their name right after. There's all sorts of fun things to do with that.
Cool. This is great. You've got so much information. We've got so many questions today. This is a very juicy topic for actors right now. With a demo, okay, so Elena asks, with a demo under 2 minutes, is it important to show story/character development in less clips or a lot of contrast in many clips?
I would say, story is not important for what we're talking about for reels.
Okay.
Because a person watching it isn't really going to take the time to figure out, what's happening. They just want to see you act. They just want to see you doing what you do best. That's really what it comes down to. You don't want to I would say you don't want to put too many clips in unless you're doing something like a speed reel. Which would be just kind of like a more character driven, like these are the characters I play and this is the speed reel, it's a minute or less. But a story is definitely not something to be concerned about. They don't have to know the setup. They don't have to know all the exposition going into it. I want to see you and your best self and your best acting as early as possible, as quickly as possible.
How wide of a range do you feel is important to show?
I would say, I think as I was mentioning in the beginning, it's good to show your best characters, the best roles that you're going to be cast for. And then as we move down the line, we can show range, especially for a reel. I feel like a full reel gets to show more variety and range than obviously a clip would. But, also people talk about not wanting to pigeonhole themselves and be like, oh, I want to play these characters, but I get cast for these characters, which I say, get cast for these characters.
Yeah, make note of what you're getting work for and milk it out for all it's worth as you and you can still introduce the things you really want to do as well.
I say take those characters to the bank.
Great.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you get to branch out and whatnot. That's not to say you can't have those different variety in you can't, but especially in the beginning, focus on the characters you play and that cast as.
Okay, cool. We've got another question from Elena. Is it okay to use pieces where you're not speaking, but the clip is focused on your acting?
Right. There are exceptions. Yes, and the exception is, I had a client who's an actress who was in, I think this is the show Divorce. And with Sarah Jessica Parker. And,
I think I know this client.
Yeah.
I think I saw this reel.
Right? They should. There was a whole scene, and I forget if she said there were parts that were cut out. I think she had a whole scene, but my point being that they didn't use dialogue, but my gosh, that told the whole story right there. So if you're involved and you're in the story and that's forwarding and that's showing you what you could do and tell the story and without dialogue, then by all means, yes, that's. But if you're just sitting there, maybe just doing something and it's not having anything to do with what's going on in the scene, then not so much.
Got it. Thank you. That's great. And we got a clarifying question from PZ around going back to the production. I think let me see. The question is, productions charge actors to request for clips, ?
Yes. Not productions. No. It's not productions. Actors Access. Gosh, I wish I could remember. Actors Access. Break.
So, I mean, if it's an indie film or something, I would say, make sure you might need to be on production for a while. And you might even, if you're, put an agreement together saying you're going to get a copy of that.
Absolutely. No, I was referring to films that have been out and television shows that they charge to get. But if you're, it's definitely best to go through the production company. Sometimes with indie films, it has to go through the process of, going through festivals. I'm in a film now that, the good news is it keeps getting put into festivals. So, but the bad news is I haven't got my footage yet.
Gotcha.
But yeah, the production is definitely going to be releasing that footage once it's gone through the festival circuit.
But for any TV shows, would you say that that you never get a copy? You always have to go outside, or is there another way?
I wouldn't say never, because I don't know how many people have actually gotten it. You could also, there's ways
You
to
could
record
reach
it.
out to the producer. Yeah, I did a show for Discovery ID, and the producer I worked with, I remember requesting that and being able to get a copy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would say try to go through production first. But with TV show that maybe just aired and you want to put it on your reel, then it's best for some of these companies.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah.
That's great. Ginny says, so helpful. Thank you. You're welcome, Ginny. Thanks for asking. And Daria is, I don't know what you mean by frozen. I don't know if it looks like everybody can still see us. Let us know if there's any connection. If you are getting a frozen screen, Daria, and you're the only one, maybe just try Xing out and joining us again. Another question. So Elena asks, what do you suggest for intro, outro? Just a black screen with your name?
What I've been doing, I think you could do that, but what I've been doing lately is putting the name on the screen with the actor or actress as it's starting. That way we get right into it, you know?
Okay, yeah.
Sometimes, here's another thing, a trick that I use. Sometimes if the scene we want to use starts on the other person or starts on their voice, you can put that underneath your name and then in the black screen, and then right when it comes up, we see you, there you are.
Cool. Oh,
So just get to it right away.
Yeah. Do you have time for a few more questions? I think they're going to keep rolling. Yeah? Okay, cool. But before we do any more, let's talk about your free gift. And let's make sure that actors go and get that after listening to today's Q&A. Can you just share a little bit about your ebook?
So I have a free ebook titled Does Your Reel Measure Up to the Competition? And it asks and answers 5 questions to when going through a reel or when putting together a reel that would help you with the end product, which would be making sure that it does measure up to the competition, to what's out there now.
Great. Great. Yeah. It's such a great resource. Yeah.
LaTourDeForceProductions.com, and then free ebook is the tab there. You can just get it from there.
Perfect. And I'll share that in my my bio for the next, once I post this, I'll put that up for the next 24 hours as well. So folks can go directly there if you want to as well. Great. Okay, let's go back to talking about clips a little bit. How do you recommend labeling clips? I know there are lots of different ways you could do it, but how do you like to do that?
Well, I know what I've done in Actors Access is when people put up clips, there's a space to label it. And this is where you get to be creative and also very succinct. Right away, people are going to see, it could be something like lawyer who fights for the cause.
Great.
Doctor who's got ulterior motives.
Great.
So you get to be a little bit creative with that. It just depends exactly. It tells exactly what it is, and then they press play, and that's what they see.
Cool. Cool. That's great. Yeah, just make it super simple for them to go right to what they need.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. What do you okay, let me see. We got Lisa asks, I'm a recent breast cancer survivor who now looks different from the material in my reels. Do you recommend still using it or working on new footage?
I would say that definitely has a place to use it, and that's also something that can be discussed, you know, when it's sent to an agent or a casting director. I would recommend you could get new footage. That would be great. That shows your appearance now, but also no reason to not use the footage that you already have, because that is going to show you as an actress and your skills and who you get cast as. But now that could have potentially you could potentially be open for different types of roles now, and for that, getting footage that represents that can be used in addition to the previous footage.
Great. Great point. Awesome. Another question from Ginny. Some people put a headshot at the beginning or ending. Do you recommend that?
Definitely at the end. At the end, we could put a headshot, contact information. At the beginning, I used to do that, but I've sort of gotten away from it as things are getting tighter time-wise.
Yeah, people want to just get right into the acting.
You want to get right into it. But as I mentioned before, if there's two people of the same gender starting the scene, I think it's important to show
which one to look at. Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. And then she also had a question about transitions. What do you recommend? Fade to black? None?
Simple. However, what I do also, it depends on the type of clip. So if you're doing comedy and it ends on a button, maybe you do something like a flash to the next one.
That sounds like something that would be really fun on your end to get to create as the editor.
Yeah. Or if it's something more quiet or suspenseful, then you could do a fade. It all just depends. I think I say keep it in alignment with the types of clips that you're working with.
Great. Can I ask, how did you start doing this? And what do you like about the work? You've been doing this work for 15 years in addition to working as an actor.
I love it. I get to be creative. It's another form of creativity. I get to work with my fellow actors. But I started this when my parents were celebrating a wedding anniversary, and I interviewed them, and I put together a whole bunch of footage and pictures and audio and video and created this montage of their life together.
Cool.
And from there, I started showing it to people and my actor friends. And my first client was a guy by the name of Amir Arison, who's on the blacklist. He was my first acting client. He's like, oh, that's really great. Oh, wow, I really need a reel. Can you put one together? And from there, it just kind of like built from there.
That's
and
awesome.
You know, I love working with my fellow actors, and I love, you know, helping them get cast and get to do what they love to do. You know?
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Love it. Love it.
That's the story of how it all started, Elise.
I love it. Kim has oh wait, no, we already answered that question. Hold on one second. I don't think, okay, no. There's not a question in the question box, but we still have, oh my gosh, so many questions. We're probably going to have time to take 2 more questions. And then after that, connect with Christina. And do you prefer folks connect at Latour at Latour de Force?
Yes, Latour de Force Prods on Insta. Or, I mean, email is fine too, Christina with the K at ldfprods.com, or just on my website, you see all my info, latourdeforceproductions.com.
Okay, cool. So we'll take a couple more questions and then definitely connect with Christina afterwards. Definitely pick up her ebook and keep the conversation going. PZ says, when you say outside to get the copy, where would it be? I think this might be in regards to us talking about getting copy, going outside of production. And we had mentioned, did you say Actor Edits?
On Actor Edits.
Or via Actors Access.
And Actors Access also has a service that they offer. I still can't remember the name, but you find it on Actors Access.
Okay. And then you can't screen grab it. Question, is that illegal? I would say let's talk to a lawyer on that. Connect with Rob Siglin-Packley Jr. He's my lawyer person.
Good catch there. Good good pivot.
We're not the people to ask on that. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Amber says, hi everyone. My dream role is to be on Outlander. I have no footage that pertains to wanting that role. What about taking a clip from the show and reenacting it? And I think that goes back to what you had said earlier, to probably not do that.
Probably not, because, you know, you want to show you, and you run the risk of them comparing the two actors, and you really want to show them what you can do. And so for that, I would say, you know, write something or have somebody write something that's in alignment with that kind of role and that kind of show,
Mm-hmm.
and have it produced, one of these companies, or produce it yourself, put it together yourself, just a short clip.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put it up and you label it in your Actors Access, the type of role it is, and then in alignment with whatever Outlier, what is it called? Forget.
Oh, Outlander. Mm-hmm.
Outlander. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In the vein of Outlander.
Yeah, great point. Let me see. There was one more thing. Well, we're gonna. I actually think we covered all of those questions that came in. So last call, if anybody has any final questions, feel free to drop it now. Otherwise, I would love to know, Christina, what is the one thing that you want actors to take away from our conversation today? Like whether they currently have a reel or they don't, what do you recommend? Like, what do you want to be the biggest takeaway?
Yeah. The biggest takeaway is, we get to be where we are, and meaning if we only have, one or two clips, or we don't have all the clips that we want yet, or we don't have the clips that showcase us yet, work with what you have.
Mm-hmm.
Don't wait to get that. And also, 1 minute of gold is really better than 3, 4, or 5 minutes of, well, I'm not sure if I should put this in, but I'm going to put it in anyway.
Great.
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome.
And it's 1 minute. Make it the best 1 minute ever.
Mm-hmm. And it will continue to evolve, like all of our marketing materials, right? We start with where we're at now, and you can just keep evolving. Thank you so much, Christina. There's one where someone was wondering, can we look at some examples of demos you've done on your website?
Yes, absolutely. It's under my demo reel. And also, there's actually, I have more that has to be redone, but there's more on my YouTube page, and that's and you can get that on my website. Just scroll down to the YouTube icon, and you'll see more videos there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Everyone go get lost in watching some awesome reels. Thank you so much, Christina. I really, really appreciate your time today.
Yeah. Thank you. And thanks to everybody. I appreciate it.
Thanks everyone for joining us. Be sure to go follow Christina, Latour de Force Productions. I love that name. Amazing. Love it. Way to use your name. And definitely go get her ebook, and let us know, like, tag us when you update your reel. Let us check it out and celebrate you. It's worth doing wherever you're at, whether you have copy or not. Like, get going, start upgrading, and definitely connect with Christina. Thanks everyone so much. And I will be resharing this. Thanks, Christina. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.